Hello everyone, welcome back to Parkitect and welcome back to Fantasy Kingdom. Now, the first thing you'll probably notice is that we have had a name change on the channel, now called Coast to Cool Gaming instead of just Coast to Cool, and that's pretty self-explanatory really. It's because mainly now we're just a gaming channel, so I wanted to make that clear in the name. We used to do a few reviews and stuff like that, but that's not really happening at the moment, and the main thing people watch on this channel is gaming content. So that's a brief explanation of that. Obviously we've been away, not really putting up videos for a couple of weeks now. I have started a new job this year, so that's taken up most of my time. I've had very little time to play or do anything really on YouTube. I think I've watched about 2 videos in the last 3 weeks. So yeah, it's a bit of a slow start to the year for the channel, but here we are with a new Parkitect video, and in this one we are continuing working on the Wizards and Fairy Tales area of the park. We actually get it completed pretty much in this episode, which is good news, so we can move on to the next area of the park. I was struggling a little bit with ideas of what to put in this area, so the first thing that I go for here is just a restaurant type building, but I also add a sort of fake shop facade, which is all outside. It doesn't really make any sense. You probably wouldn't see anything like this in a theme park. It would be inside, sort of like if you think of what they've got at the Wizarding World at Universal Studios and stuff like that, but it just looks quite good, and I wanted it to all be out in the open. Just one of those sort of ideas that come into my mind, and I thought we're going to replicate this into the game. So yeah, we just build some random bookshelves and wizards potions and lots of random stuff like that, and it all comes together quite nicely. Just trying obviously different roof colours here, and struggling really to get the sort of look that I was going for, so I went more for just the brown colours in the end, and you know, the sort of beigey colours. But yeah, we go for a custom sort of floor in this little area as well, which I think looks quite cool, just using different borders and slightly recolouring them. This is something that I think I might do a bit more in the future as well, because it turned out quite nice actually. I do wish we had a few more different sort of path designs. I know we've got quite a few, but I don't know, I kind of get bored of using the same ones, so this is what we're going for. I don't know if the guests' feet might clip through them a little bit, but it doesn't really matter, you're not going to notice majorly. But yeah, I feel like this little shop sort of building fits in quite nicely with the wizard area. At one point I was thinking of putting a couple of stands there, not stands, but like cash desks there, so that people could actually pay for the items, but then I realised that nothing in there it's not a sort of memorabilia type shop, you know, it's not a souvenir shop, it's just like funny little potions and pots and stuff, so it really would just be for decoration. Again, like some of the shops that you see in the Wizarding World, especially in the what's the darker bit called Nocturne Alley, you know, the type of props you see in there, which look very cool. Although this is a wizard area, it's not really Harry Potter inspired at all or anything like that. I just felt like this whole area fitted in nicely. I jumped over to the other side of the area then just to chuck a flat ride in, so we put the teacups in, which I feel fits quite nicely as well, because this is meant to be the family and sort of junior area of the park as well, so that's quite a good ride for there. We add some theming to it later on in the episode. other than that then, just working on some of the backstage stuff here. Really, it's just exactly the same in every area. Some basic pipes connected to AC units. I don't know really how realistic it is, but you know what I'm like when it comes to backstage and realism in this game. That's sort of not really my strong point, so yeah, I just sort of add a few things from the Parkitect mod and use some of these pipes to get the general idea that there is a backstage area there. And I believe that staff can go through to this bit, although there's not really any reason for them to. I think at some point I put a staff building somewhere in one of the backstage areas here, but I'm not entirely sure on that. But either way, at least I'm getting slightly better at doing the backstage stuff now. So yeah, I do feel like this park could operate as a real park. You know, as far as operations go in this game anyway. So to cut the rambling then, and to sort of talk about what I'm actually doing here. We're building some, like I said before, some nice sort of shelving units with different potions and stuff. I think first I just add all the borders around just to make the buildings look a bit more complete, because they are completely different colours as well to the rest of the area, but I'm kind of fine with that. I think although it's good to have a colour scheme in a themed area of a park, you don't want to have everything looking exactly the same. You need a bit of variation. So that's kind of what we went for. Someone mentioned in the last one about putting the multi-launch coaster on the workshop. I always take feedback into consideration, so thanks for that. And I will put it on the workshop when the park is complete. And I mean, at the speed I'm going at the moment, that might not be for a good few months, but hopefully some time will free up. I mean, I've got the weekends free to play the game, especially while we're all in lockdown again, or at least here in the UK anyway. There's nothing else to really do at the moment. So yeah, hopefully I'll get some good solid gameplay time in, and can see this project getting completed in the first sort of quarter of the year, I guess. But I don't put time frames on anything. You know, I don't have a set day for Parkitect content. Usually it comes out on a Monday, I think, but this one will probably be Sunday. But yeah, it can just be any random days when I put my videos up. Like I say, I don't really work on a schedule like that because I can't commit to it. But that's fine, you know. I feel like when I do, I sort of get a few videos out in a row, and then you might not see anything for a little while. That's how it tends to work with me. Yeah, finally then actually working on what I've been talking about in the whole video. I think I mentioned it so many times because it's probably my favourite part of the build. These various sort of potions and pots and things like that really add the little detail to this area. And yeah, I think it comes together really nicely in the end. Using a lot of mods as usual. The pirate mods were very useful for this one. I think there's something from the cyberpunk set, or maybe the future and space set, and then I'm sure it's the wall extensions or whatever they're called, the textured walls pack that has them bookcases in, just in the extra decoration section that come with it. But I might be wrong on that, I'm not entirely sure. Going into the future, I think I'm going to try and do, not with this park, but with future projects, I think I'm going to try and build more without mods, just to see what I can do more with the vanilla game. And I think, especially if I ever do campaigns or anything like that, it shows it off, you know, as what you can actually do with the game without downloading any extra content. So I think that might be something interesting to do. But for this park, I've used a lot of mods. In fact, I have for all of my sandbox parks that I've done. So yeah, really not that much to say about this section. You can sort of see the things going in. We put a couple of skulls in for the Adventure DLC, the cauldron, which is obviously perfect for this theming, and then we get on with the theming for the flat ride over here. We put a I put a small sort of stand, I suppose would be the word, on top of it, and then we work on a Merlin statue. Obviously in this area I had to have some sort of Merlin wizard thing, but I'm not entirely happy with how this come together. Similar to the Aladdin one that I did earlier in the series, it's the best that I can really do with my level of skill working with these shapes. You might think it looks a bit silly, but you know, it's all part of the art style, really, isn't it? Of Parkitect, you're never going to get anything looking super realistic, but you can see what it's meant to be, and it's all right. It's you know, it's a kids' area of the park. It doesn't matter. Using the ivy then for the beard, I think that worked quite well because it gives it a slightly different texture to the rest of it, which is all pretty much the art shapes, except when I had to go really small I used a beach ball from the Resort Tech pack, because that's rescalable to really tiny colours, although because it's got 4 different colours on it you have to copy and paste the colour 4 times every time you want it a different colour, so that's a bit time consuming, but there you go. There's our Merlin, and we give him a magic wand pointing out. I was looking to see if we could put some sparks coming out the end or anything with the new effects, but all I could really see was the spark emitter, which isn't really the right effect that I wanted, so I just left it. You know, it would look a bit daft with some flames or smoke coming out the end of his wand. I suppose a puff of smoke could have worked. That might be something I go back to and do, actually, thinking about it. Other than that, then, really, with that ride, just some very basic walls around the edge and pavilions, well, sort of roofs and just stuff like that. I love that tree, actually. I think it might be from Foliage Essentials 2. It's either from that or the new trees in the whatever the latest DLC was. Booms and Blooms, sorry. But yeah, I really like that type of tree. I can't remember what type of tree it's called, but it just looks perfect for this sort of theme. It's just got that magical feel to it, which is really cool. So on to the final ride and the final build for this area then. We put in a roto drop tower, which would normally be an intense sort of thrill ride, but we make it really boring by not making it very tall. The stats for this are actually terrible, but thematically it kind of works for a sort of junior thrill ride, if you like, so something that's maybe the older kids could enjoy as well. We use the normal sort of roofs that I've been using in this area, the steampunky roofs, but I also put a round shape underneath just to give it a bit of variation. Maybe it looks a bit futuristic, a bit sci-fi, but I'm happy with that because it's just something different. And then I worked on some towers to go on the side of the tower to give it a bit more interest, which took a bit of playing about with. I had to try them in several different places because obviously where it breaks off so that you can look out of the ride, sort of like how Tower of Terror does, I guess. You can obviously look down and see the roof inside there, and then the ride would go straight through the middle of it, so I had to make sure that that didn't happen here because I wanted to keep that part open, just so that obviously they're spinning round but they're looking out around the park as it's spinning round, you know, the guests on the ride. So I thought that's quite a cool idea. And yeah, I mean, that is pretty much it for this sort of area of the park. once this tower was complete, we'd just add the very minor, finer details and sort of tie it in with the other areas with a bit of rock work, a bit of planting, some fencing and all of that sort of thing. And that's it, yeah. So the Fairy Tales and Wizards area is complete. I've really enjoyed working on this part of the park. One of my favourite parts of the park that I've done, actually. And definitely my favourite family and kids area that I've done in any park I've built. Because we've gone for a really heavy theme with it, which is what we're going for every sort of area of this park, I guess. And that will mean we move on to the next area of the park in the next video. So hopefully that will be less than 2 weeks away, but who knows. It'll be done when it's done, really. I need to get the motivation to actually play and film and edit and all the rest of it. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate all your comments and feedback and likes on the video, and I hope to see you all in the next episode. Until then, thank you very much. Bye bye.